Together a year to remember, finishing undefeated and winning their first NCAA championship since 1975. This year, California is loaded again. With high flyers like Yevgeny Zherevchevsky, the Bears are the team to beat. Meanwhile, Iowa is revved up. The Hawkeyes are hoping that All-American Todd Strata can help them take that final step. Also ready to rumble, Illinois, the surprise team of the year. All-around champion Travis Romagnoli leads a young Fighting Illini team that believes it can. 3 teams fighting for the national championship. Next. Welcome to the Bryce Jordan Center on the campus of Penn State here in University Park, Pennsylvania. This is the 1998 NCAA Men's Gymnastics Championship. Hi, everybody. Chris Marlowe and Bart Connor with you. Let's take a quick look at the format. 6 teams qualified for the championship weekend, but only 3 have made it to tonight's championship final. The scores do not carry over, so each team gets a clean start. 6 gymnasts per team compete on each apparatus. The top 4 scores count. And, of course, there are 6 rotations on the 6 different events. Now, we mentioned 6 teams. Of course, only 3 moving along. California qualified first at 2:31, 4:25, followed by Iowa and Illinois. Oklahoma just missing, and BYU and Ohio State. Well, let's take you right to the action as the #1 seeded team, California, opens on the floor. You see the first 4 performers for Cal have already gone. The win Sincharin with a low score, but remember, only 4 of 6 count. So here is Andrew Hampe, a 5'4" sophomore from Clovis, California.
There's a lot of team strategy in this competition because in international competition like the Olympics, normally there's only 1 score can be dropped. In collegiate competition, you can drop 2, and you really need to have powerhouse specialists like this young man, Hampe. He's a floor exercise and vault specialist, and when you see the level of difficulty in this routine, you see why he continues to deliver huge scores for this team.
Andrew was the 1997 NCAA runner-up on floor. So this is his top event, and he's looking to give Cal a boost here.
Scored a 9.7 in the preliminary round yesterday. This is an outstanding event. Really, Cal has no weak events, but watch this opening tumbling sequence. It's a double laid-out somersault. He makes it easily. Look at the height on that. Now we'll talk about the rules as this competition continues. On the floor, the judges require the gymnast to do back tumbling elements like that first pass, front tumbling sequence like the second pass. These pommel horse flares are good ways of getting bonus points for the gymnast. They will also need to show a strength move. This move here qualifies as a strength move. That's called a V seat. The body's in kind of a V-shaped position. Another front tumbling sequence, and boy, he's so crisp. Very stylish. A characteristic of this California team is that they do difficult routines, but they're very stylish and very clean. Here's his last tumbling pass. So far, this has been just excellent. He's going to get a big score. Remember, he delivered a 9.7 yesterday. This could be even better.
Andrew Hampe sticks his final landing. His season high is a 9.8. We'll see if he approaches that.
Round off back handspring, and notice he just floats this double twist. Now, it's not the most difficult dismount you can do, but he already had enough bonus points in the earlier part of the routine.
Iowa now on the pommel horse. Here's Doug Jacobson, a 5'10" sophomore from Bloomington, Minnesota.
And boy, this is a critical routine for Iowa. He only scored an 8.5. Oh, again, he had trouble in the prelims yesterday. They were hoping for a big score. He normally can score a 9.5, 9.6 at least on this event. That's going to hurt them in this team battle. They can't afford to have many mistakes on this event because this is the toughest event for Iowa to get through, the pommel horse.
How much more difficult is it for a taller gymnast to do pommel horse?
Well, in many cases, it's actually easier because that long body allows them to generate some big, flowing, swinging movements. I think he just had a fluky hand placement. Take a look here. He did a very difficult routine. Oh, just a simple concentration error, perhaps. His hand slipped off the pommel. That's just an unlucky break.
So a tough start for Doug Jacobson, one of the youngsters on this Iowa squad. As you look at one of the great ones, Travis Romagnoli of Illinois. We can tell you on the floor that Andrew Happy received a 9.65. Illinois has had 4 men go before him.
And this is a rough event for Illinois. They tend to be very good in the vault, parallel bars, high bar, and floor. This is the event. As you saw, those scores were all in the low 9s. They're going to need to get a little lucky here if they're going to hang into this team battle. Romagnoli is excellent on this event. What I like about his style is he's very composed. He doesn't rush any movement. He has very precise technique. That's one of his characteristics. Don't expect Illinois to be anywhere near the lead after this first rotation. That is their weakest event. They'll need to pick it up with some of the others.
Iowa's Jacobson received an 8.85 for his work on the pommel horse.
Let's take a look at the precision and the technique. He has really good body line. This is a full twisting double back somersault laid out. Plenty of difficulty. That will be their best score, but still a weak event for Illinois.
Okay, we're off to a good start. The athletes are into it, and we are ready to go. Hi again, everybody, and welcome. Along with Bart Connor, I'm Chris Marlowe. Well, everybody is raving about Cal, and rightly so. The Golden Bears are ranked #1 and undefeated with a record of 35-0. Just how tough are the Golden Bears?
Well, when you first of all look at them on paper, it looks like a world-class international team, and that's because they are. There are 2 gymnasts here from Ukraine, 1 from Norway, and 1 from Israel. Now, they're led by Oleg Kosiak, who's the top Ukrainian on Cal's team. But you have to hand it to Barry Weiner. He's the coach there. They only have 3 scholarships. Every other team here has 6.3 scholarships, and Barry Weiner has managed to put together the #1 team in the country for California this year based on that.
If California stumbles just a bit, 2 Big Ten teams waiting to pounce, Iowa and Illinois. Hawkeyes 30 a year ago looking to move up.
Boy, and I really like this Iowa team. They're veterans, they're strong, and they're very solid and deep. They're led by Todd Strata, and I believe they have no weaknesses. Now, for Illinois, it'll be interesting because Travis Romagnoli is their leader, and this is a very young team, and they were surprise qualifiers to this session. They'll need for the top 2 teams to falter if they hope to finish on top today.
All right, Cal the favorite. Can one of the 2 Big Ten teams knock off the Golden Bears? We'll continue with rotation #1 right after this.
Your toothbrush.
Back with Bart Connor. Once again, we go to the floor. Yevgeny Zherebchevsky, the senior from Donetsk, Ukraine, one of the stars in the country in men's collegiate gymnastics.
He's actually a senior, even though this is only his 2nd year competing for the California Bears. He had gone to school in Ukraine, and some of his credits carried over. He's a 22-year-old senior here.
Travis Romagnoli on rings, 9.40. Low score for him.
But still the best score for that weak team for Illinois on the rings. Yesterday in the preliminary competition, this team from California looked a little flat. When I talked with head coach Barry Weiner, he said, well, we knew we could probably qualify through if we were just clean, and they're hoping to save their best performance to date for the finals. They have been relatively unchallenged this year, as you mentioned, a huge record. Surprising battle in the team competition yesterday. Illinois squeezing in. They beat out Oklahoma by 175 thousandths of a point. It was incredibly close. California just has everything. They have the difficulty, they have the style, but they're going to need to focus on sticking those landings if they're going to run away with it as predicted.
Zherebchevsky, former member of the Ukrainian junior national team. He likes his routine.
This tumbling sequence just shows his power. Very clean double back somersault, but that step will probably be at least 2/10 of a point deduction. In a team battle like this, you can't afford to give away those easy 10s.
Let's move back to the pommel horse and pick up Todd Strata, the 5'6" sophomore from Alpharetta, Georgia.
Boy, can this young man swing the pommel horse. He's a very balanced, clean gymnast. Only a sophomore, but this team in general is a veteran team. Head coach Tom Dunn has been, this is his 18th year. They were 3rd place last year. They will have to be on their best routines today if they hope to challenge California. That will get a good score, although he had a little bobble at the end of that routine. These are called the Thomas flares, those straddled circles, and he goes up the handstand and he's going to pirouette. He was hoping to go off the other side. It will be just a minor deduction.
The starting scores in collegiate men's gymnastics a little bit lower this year, lowered from a 9.5 to a 9.4 as we move to the Still Rings in Illinois. 5 have already gone now, and as you can see, racking up some low scores. They need a big dip here from Yuval Ayalon, the senior from Israel.
Ayalon is one of those international competitors. 3 times he competed in the World Championship competition for Israel. He's a 24-year-old senior.
He's a true veteran.
He really is, and he can normally contribute a 9.6 to a 9.8 performance on nearly every piece of equipment, so they'll need a strong routine here. Let's focus on what the judges are looking for. They need to see strength moves like that, inverted iron cross. They also need to swing a swing element forward to a handstand like that, and a backward swing to a handstand. Of course, what everybody likes to see are these immense strength moves. Not only are the powerful iron crosses crowd favorites, but they are the easiest way to get bonus points on this event. Oh, that'll score well. Just a little short.
So a solid routine for the Israeli Yuval Ayalon.
Notice the locked out arm position. That's very important. Good power on this dismount. Double somersault laid out. He was slightly piked, and he had to pull it around short of rotation. Probably about 0.2 of a point deduction.
All right, we're going to continue with the 1998 NCAA Men's Gymnastics Championships. We'll give you the results of rotation number 1 when we come back. This week, the Nissen Award was given away to the top male gymnast in the country. It went to a senior from Bart Connor's alma mater, Oklahoma.
Yeah, and congratulations to Dan Fink. The award is for the top senior student athlete, and even Yevgeny Jedubchevsky comes all the way from Ukraine, gets pretty darn good grades. Now, it was Dan Fink who led the Oklahoma Sooners in their rebuilding year. They actually finished .175 out of today's team final, but it was this 9.875 for Dan that solidified the #1 spot going into the individual apparatus finals. By the way, he has a 3.8 grade point average in marketing.
Interestingly, in the all-around, Dan Fink finished just 7th, but he had some tremendous competition.
In the battle for the men's all-around title, it was Derek Leiter from Nebraska. He was 12th in the all-around in '97. This year, he nailed dismounts like this, averaging over a 9.51. Then on the rings, also from Michigan, this is Lalo Haro. He had been ranked 12th all year long. His high score for the night was a 9.7 on the vault, but this ring routine was key. He scored a 9.35 on one of his weaker events to average a little more than a 9.5 and a solid all-around performance. On the pommel horse for Iowa, it was Todd Strata who made great improvements on some of his weaker events, but he has always been world-class on the pommel horse. This routine scored a 9.825, and as you can hear, he had a great amount of cheering and inspiration from his Iowa teammates in a hotly contested team battle. A big finish here at the end and an average of 9.62 on all 6 apparatus for Todd Strata, one of his best meets of the year. Then for California at Berkeley, Oleg Kosiak. Comes from Ukraine originally. He's a 1996 Olympic finalist on this event. A 9.725 with his terrific floor exercise performance. The high score of the night for him on the vault came here with a 9.775 with a double twisting Yurchenko and a great finish. Then from Illinois, Travis Romagnoli, who was tied for third in the 97 championships in the all-around, delivered a smooth, confident, and very technical high bar routine. He averaged 9.7 on all 6 apparatus for the title NCAA champion. 9.875 for this performance, and when we spoke to him in typical modest fashion, he was proud of his teammates.
This was a great accomplishment for the team, coming in third place, and the all-around was just amazing. It was so much fun. I mean, it's my greatest accomplishment in the sport so far, I think.
The final results of the individual all-around, Travis Romagnoli wins it. Oleg Kosiak of Cal finishes second, and Todd Strada gets third. Stay with us. We'll have more of the 1998 NCAA. Let's move to the floor exercise now. Illinois, with 4 performers gone, Hamcook, Nishimoto, and Ayalon. Once again, 6 performers, and you take the top 4 scores. We're awaiting Kyle Zach. He is a junior from King of Prussia, Pennsylvania.
We're going to be keeping an eye on the average scores that each team has in the first rotation. California averaged more than a 9.6. That's pretty impressive. Iowa, a 9.5125 for their 4 scores over on the pommel horse, and Illinois, a low 9.25. Kyle Zach is one of those critical gymnasts to any team because he has a potential to score in the mid-9s on every event. Many times, you know, you look at the stars who are delivering the 9.7s and the 9.8s, but in a team battle, it's often the 3rd and 4th score that determines who wins. They need to be 9.5s and 9.6s right in that range.
Let's duck in a couple of quick scores. On the floor, Kal Zerabchevsky got a 9.525. Pommel horse Todd Strada, a brilliant 9.8. And on the rings, Illinois' Yuval Ayalon recorded a 9.45. Nicely done.
I tell you, this Illinois team is so pumped when they qualified into this team final. It was such a surprise, and their head coach, Yoshi Hayasaki, he's been there 22 years. They've won the NCAA championship once, but he's got such a young team. He's so inspired. He went away into the administration for about 4 years as the director of both the men's and women's programs, and he came back because he said he missed being on the floor with the guys. Got a very young, gifted team. Look at this. He got hung up a little bit, had to pike it down, but he fought for the landing.
1989 was that championship year for the Fighting Illini.
They've won many. I guess over the years they've won 9 championships way back to the 40s and 50s.
Tied with Penn State. California on the pommel horse. Moments ago, let's pick up the routine of Tal Moskovitz, the freshman from Israel. This is Cal's top youngster.
Yeah, and this is the second guy to go, and you figure that the scores generally build. He's just a freshman, but this gives you an idea of the depth of this California team.
So here is Gawin Sincharan, 5'8", senior from La Cañada, California.
Moskovitz, of course, from Israel, and he adds to that foreign connection here at California. You're going to like this pommel horse routine because he just really hangs it out. That's his style. To be very aggressive. He's quick. Notice how he slashes through these double leg circles. Had a 9.5 yesterday. One of the great things about this California team is they really have very few weaknesses. Gotta love that, and it's going to score well. Plenty of difficulty, good style, and of course, clean execution.
Of course, it was the great Kurt Thomas back in 1979 who really revolutionized the event as he won the first ever world championship gold medal for the United States.
Very good. I'm impressed you remember that. Us old guys. Yeah, Kurt was one of the greatest of all time on the pommel horse, and he added some new innovations that many of these gymnasts are using in this competition.
Let's move back to the rings. The first four performers for Iowa, a couple of low scores there, so it's up to Chris Camasholi and Todd Strata to hit. Once again, 4 of the 6 scores have to count.
And boy, we can expect great performances from Camasholi and Strata. They were the #1 team on the rings event yesterday, scoring 38.55. They are strong, and this is really a good example. We're going to see how just physically powerful this Iowa team is.
Camasholi, a 5'4" senior from Haddonfield, New Jersey, was 4th on this event last year in the individual competition.
Watch this sequence there. That's called the Maltese cross. And he swings to an inverted iron cross. Very solid in that position. The co-captain of this team, he has the ability to deliver between 9.6 and 9.8 on every event. Really no weaknesses. You talk about the team battle here. The team that's most pumped up right now is Iowa. Look at that finish.
So the Iowa Hawkeyes know they have to hit now. They have 2 low scores going into the performance.
What I like about Iowa, they know they're the underdogs. They know they have to have an inspired performance to do well today. California on the other side of the gym, they're hitting very clean, getting high scores. But the inspired team right now is Iowa, and they're nailing those landings.
Illinois' Kyle Zach got a 9.55 for his floor routine. And speaking of the floor, we're back. 5 have gone, and it's up to the great Travis Romagnoli to anchor. And you saw a couple of low scores there, so Romagnoli, pressure on him. 1998 Big Ten Gymnast of the Year. You figure he can handle it.
No question about that. He's a very balanced gymnast. No weak areas. Nice mount.
Camasholi 9.70 on the rings. Good score.
Now watch this sequence here. These are the Thomas flares, as you mentioned, Kurt Thomas. They do so many of them on the floor these days because this sequence here, when he goes up to the handstand, down and up again, he can earn several points in bonus there. And that sequence, he earned 3/10. This is a requirement. That's a strength move.
Wow.
Different from international competition. In collegiate competition, they don't have a time limit. In international competition, the routine has to last between 50 and 70 seconds.
But it's also a physically demanding event. You don't get a chance to rest, so you can't go much longer than that, can you?
No, the average routine is just barely over a minute. Nice, clean finish.
Whoa.
And a great stick.
There's a reason why that man won the individual all-around. He is spectacular in all events. Travis Romagnoli.
Here's a guy who is a 4-time World Championship team member for Canada. And look at the style. Those flares are beautiful. Notice how extended his legs are. He goes up and down twice. He'll earn bonus points. And this is what you like to see in a team competition. This is the double back somersault. He finishes it easily, and you can see he's really drilling his feet into the floor to not give away any valuable tenths.
So expecting a big score for Travis Romagnoli. We'll give it to you when we can. The first 5 performers for Cal. Well, those are good scores.
Boy, that's
a low
impressive.
score by Nissen, Alexander Nissen with a 9.3, but that's not that bad. And here is Josh Birkelbaugh, whose best event is the pommel horse. He scored a 9.9 this year. He can really move.
California over here just quietly racking up impressive scores on the pommel horse. Look at this opening sequence. Beautiful form. mentioned. You have 6 performers. You count the 4 best scores. They've had 5 solid scores. They could even afford a break at this point. Of course, if he delivers a big score here, it might be in the 9-8 range, and they're going to love that.
Senior Josh Birkelbaugh getting congratulations from his coach, Barry Weiner, who is in his 7th season.
Really like his form and execution. Notice the tight leg form, beautiful execution, and quickly up to the handstand. If you struggle on your way up to the handstand, that's a significant deduction. Nice.
Travis Romagnoli scored a 9.65 for his floor routine, and Josh Birkelbaugh pumped up by a good performance on the horse. Let's move back to the rings. Once again, the 2 low scores to open it up, and that brings us to the anchor man, Todd Strata.
Scored a 9.825 yesterday on this event. This has traditionally been his best event. It's interesting because he doesn't look as beefy as some of the other gymnasts. He's very light, and yet because he's so light, it allows him to maneuver that body. So his strength-to-weight ratio is very impressive. Look at how easily he does those inverted crosses. This is just overall an incredible team on the rings. Oh, a little shaky there. That was uncharacteristic. We've seen him perform a little bit better there.
Still, it's going to be a score that Iowa will use.
Had a little swing in the rings. That's always a deduction. He goes to the handstand. Look at, he checks his handstand, breaks the body line a little bit, then goes back down into the inverted iron cross and recovers with this strong, full twisting double back somersault.
So Todd Strata of Iowa will give you his score when we come back. The NCAA men's bad first apparatus continues to trail. Well, we've got 3 great coaches here tonight, led by Iowa's Tom Dunn in his 18th year.
And Tom was a great gymnast himself back in 1971. When he competed here at Penn State, he was an NCAA champion on the parallel bars.
Illinois is led by Yoshi Hayasaki in his 22nd year.
And an interesting distinction with Yoshi, he's one of 2 coaches who's won an individual NCAA championship himself and also as a coach. He and Peter Corman are the 2 coaches and gymnasts that have that distinction.
And the relative newcomer, Barry Weiner, in his 7th season.
And here he was 1-18 his first year.
Yep.
And now he has the most dominant team in the country. But I tell you, Iowa is pouring it on right now, and I can see it in Barry's face that there's not a lot of comfort like we saw last year.
Well, let's pick up Barry Weiner's squad over at the still rings. 4 Californians have gone, and one very low score of 8.50.
That one will be dropped for sure, and probably the 9.45, because Kosiak and Jedebchesky, yet to go, are just awesome on this event.
All right, keep your eye on this man, Oleg Kosiak.
Scored a 9.725 in yesterday's preliminaries.
1996 Olympian from Ukraine, won a bronze medal.
Now, these days, you can get most of your bonus points on rings by doing these powerful strength moves. But he has some really impressive swing sequences. Here's one of the strength moves. That's the inverted iron cross. Here are those double backs within the rings. Nice. And look at how he freezes it in the handstand. Great execution. There's his second one. That's how he gets his bonus points, by doing those swing elements, more so than just the strength requirements. Big score coming up for California there. They needed it because Iowa is looking inspired.
There is a usable biggie for the California Golden Bears. Oleg Kosiak.
Take a look at the technique on this. Beautiful dismount, keeping his body as straight as he can, and he plants the landing. Perfect form.
He set a new California school record this year in the all-around, breaking Bob Sundstrom's record. So he is a talented performer. Let's go over to the floor and check out Iowa. A 9.150 by Agnew. Petrocelli scored 9.450. Those are the 2 low scores. And now it's up to Todd Strata.
Iowa was rather flat on the floor exercise in the preliminaries yesterday. They were 5th of the 6 teams here, so this isn't their best event, but they have been nailing their landings so far today. Oh, little off there.
Strada's best in this event this year, a 9.75. So he has it in him to pump up a big score.
This is one of those events where he really improved his overall balance as a gymnast. He's gotten better here, and even last year, Tom Dunn said that this team's weakness was the floor exercise. And you know what's interesting is their best gymnast, a young man named Brian Hamilton, great 4-event guy and outstanding on the floor and the high bar. He blew out his ACL this year, and so they've lost their best score. Now, this guy normally turns in a 9.8 to a 9.9 range, so another tribute to how deep this team is, because they're still contending without one of their stars. Boy, you can see his ankles are taped up. He's limping all over the gym. It's been a long season. I watched him finish practice the other day, and they walked out of here, and every guy had between 2 and 4 ice bags on different parts of their body. We saw how good he was on the pommel horse. Well, he's transferred those skills over here to the floor. That's the Thomas Flare up to a handstand. He's not a great tumbler, and you can tell that's why he's got those ankles taped up. These landings really sting if you land short. A lot of pressure there. Good fight for the landing, but not a big, powerful tumbling run.
Let's move now back to the pommel horse. Illinois with a couple of low scores. There are the 2 that they would like to throw out. Can tell you that Oleg Kosiak, a 9.8 on the rings. So Kosiak coming through for Cal. There he is. 9.8. And back to Travis Romagnoli, the sophomore from Aurora, Ontario, Canada.
Illinois had scored poorly on the rings, as you mentioned, a little bit better on the floor with a 9.525 average. They need to pick it up here. It looks as if this is becoming a 2-way race for the championship between California and Iowa. Boy, I like this guy, though. He really is technically so precise. He's very hard on himself if he's not nailing everything. Focusing, is a very analytical gymnast. If something's not right, he goes right to the videotape and studies the technique and tries to improve it.
Romagnoli, the Canadian national champion on pommel horse this past summer.
Once again, the Thomas Flares. He turns out and goes up through the handstand very smoothly. They're going to need to have a big second half of the meet if they hope to contend today.
Back to the rings. Once again, it's looking like the first 2 scores for Cal will be thrown out, depending on Yevgeny Zhedebchevsky. Just missed making All-American last year. If you finish in the top 6, you garner the All-American honors. He was 7th on bars and rings. Well, that's a close miss. He'll get there this year, huh?
He better. He's a senior this year. This is his last shot. 9.725 was his score in the preliminaries yesterday.
On the pommel horse, Travis Romagnoli, a 9.6 for Illinois.
Also ready for California, Yevgeny Zhedebchevsky.
Notice how his coach gives him a little swing when he set him up on the rings. That's to set him up for these swing moves. It's very difficult sometimes to work the rings when they're exactly steady. You need a little swing to set up a rhythm going to these handstands. And now, see, he's got the swing under control, and there will be no significant deduction.
How much of an assist are you allowed to get from your coach?
Well, that's one of those that the judges kind of let that one go by. Boy, look at the clean body line in the handstand. Really solid. Gotta love that landing. California with about a 0.7 of a point lead after 2 rotations. Solid on the rings. He had all the necessary requirements in this routine, the swing elements, the strength elements, but the way you punctuate a good score is by just drilling a landing like that laid out double somersault. That's the last thing the judges see. They love that.
All right, we are coming back. We'll give you the score. All right, Bart Connor down on the floor, standing by with Iowa coach Tom Dunn. Bart?
Thanks a lot, Chris. Now, Tom Dunn, you're coming into what we call the back nine, the last three events, and your team looks really inspired. California's strong, but you guys seem to be really fighting for all the landings.
Yeah, we are. We've tried to do that all year, and we're doing a little better job than average, and we need to do it. California's so good, we need to stick every landing to have a shot.
Did you think you'd be this close at the halfway point?
Yeah, I did. Pommel, horse, and rings are pretty good events for us, and I thought we'd be close. And hopefully we can do a real good job in the second half and put some pressure on them.
Now, you graduated a couple of strong performers, and you had some injuries this year. Are you impressed with the team depth that you're still able to contend this close to the national title?
Yeah, the guys have come on real strong. We did lose a real key individual, Brian Hamilton, just after the Big Ten meet. We filled in. We can't afford to lose anybody else, but they're doing a real good job.
Well, good luck in the second half, Tom.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, Chris, back to you.
All right, Bart, the difference between Olympic scoring and NCAA scoring?
Well, basically, the base score in Olympic competition is an 8.6, and the gymnasts have to demonstrate extra difficult moves to get 1.4 of bonus. Now, in the NCAA competition, the base score is a 9.4 if you fulfill all the requirements, and you only need to get 6/10 in extra difficult moves or combinations to get to a perfect 10. So as you can see, it's a little bit easier to get a high score in NCAA competition. That's kind of controversial, but the good point is it does provide parity. That's why we have such great team battles down to the wire.
All right, California is now on the vault. Four of the Golden Bears have gone, and very solid scores. The two low ones not that low as we get set for Josh Birkelball.
This is clearly a great event for California, and Iowa over on the parallel bars. It's not their best event. Of the three teams in tonight's final, Iowa is the worst of the three on that particular event, the parallel bars.
But stuck in two scores. Yevgeny Zherchevsky's final ring performance, 9.725. And on the floor, Iowa's Todd Strata got a 9.6. So you're up to date on the scoring. Here goes Josh Birkelball, the senior from Cal.
The best vaulting team, 9.75 is what he scored yesterday. Oh, that's big. Double twisting Sukahara with nice form and a good clean landing. This vault has a start value of a 10.0, meaning that the gymnast could get a 10 if he does it perfectly. Now, he's a little crooked. You notice he's off to the side. Well, not too much. And just a slight hop on the landing. Yeah. That's going to get a big score.
And some high fives from the gang at California. Let's move to the parallel bars. Iowa with a couple of low scores early. So once again, they're in the position with Chris Camasholi and Todd Strata, the two anchors of this team, having to hit.
We talked with Barry Weiner, the coach at California, before this event. He said his lowest score that he plans to count on each event is a 9.6. Now, you see with Iowa here, there's a lot of pressure on these veterans because they have to deliver two huge routines if they're going to keep it close here in the back half of the competition.
Josh Birkelball, 9.575 on his vault.
This is not the best event for Iowa. You can see that the routines are average in terms of difficulty. They are fighting for every 10th of a point, but we're not seeing really cutting-edge gymnastics on these routines. This is a rather basic sequence at the end of the routine. We'll see more challenging routines from the California team on this event, but this dismount is pretty tough, and boy, does he grip for the landing. Good fight there, but keep in mind, California in this half of the meet coming up on their three best events.
California with a lot of flair. Once again, Josh Birkelball's vault score, 9.575. Go now over to the high bar and pick up Illinois' Travis Romagnoli, getting set to perform.
Boy, and he gave us a treat yesterday on the high bar. Scored a 9.875. He really is pacing this team in terms of maturity. Coach Yoshi Hayasaki said, we're very young, and he's worried about that, but they seem to be calm in their demeanor and not flustered at this level of competition. I think a lot of it has to do with Travis, because even though he's just a sophomore, he's very composed, he's a very technically clean gymnast, and he doesn't panic.
Been to 3 world championships, so he's got the experience.
Now watch this combination here. This is very clever. He stoops in, half turn out to the handstand, right to an immediate release move. Boy, that's just so clean. Nice finesse in all of these positions. He's fulfilled all the requirements. Now it's just whether he's going to nail it, and boy, does he. Nice job. Illinois as a team was very strong on this event yesterday in the preliminaries. Look at the body position, really nice and clean form, and you won't see a better landing than that. See the leather hand guards there that allow him to hang on to the bar. He flies completely out of frame, showing how precise his technique is on that release move.
When did hand guards come into play?
Oh boy, I guess probably back in the late 50s, early 60s, but they're different now. They use actually a dowel rod to give them a little hook so they can hang on to the bar better.
Let's duck in Chris Camasholi's score on the parallel bars, 9.55. So that's a score that will count for Iowa. Iowa trying to hang in with powerful California. Don't go away. We'll return to Penn State University. On this man, Oleg Koziak, the junior from Kiev, Ukraine.
He had the highest score of the day on the vault. Watch how complicated this vault is. Oh, yes. He landed even farther from the horse today than he did in the preliminaries. He walks off like, yeah, nothing to it, coach. Pretty easy stuff.
No problem.
Now watch how difficult this is. He's going to turn around and go backwards over the horse. He puts his hands here, now look, he's going backwards over the horse. I can't tell you how tough that is. Look at, he cranks 2 twists and fights for that landing. This is just really one of the best vaults in the world. Nice form. Probably he took it back a little farther than he'd like to. Didn't quite get as much pop off the horse, but the technique is great.
He scored as high as a 9.850 this year in this event. Romagnoli, 9.825. So the Fighting Illini looking good on that event. Let's go back to Bart Connor's gold medal winning event in 1984, the parallel bars, and once again Iowa in the tough position of having 2 low scores and putting the pressure on Todd Strada.
Just to give you some perspective on how the sport has changed since I did win about 14 years ago, is that the routine that I did at the Olympics that scored a 10 now would score about an 8.7, and that's true. The judges require a much higher level of difficulty, and that's why these gymnasts are really challenging the rules by doing combinations like that.
How many times have you been on the parallel bars since 1984?
Almost every day.
Okay.
I still work out a lot.
All right.
Nice job for Strada. Clean, but that's still over there. We're going to see Cal start to stretch their lead because they're doing more challenging and more inspired routines than what we're seeing from Iowa. This is a good combination. Notice he is in the handstand swinging down through the bottom for the dismount, and that's a pike double back somersault. Take a look again. He pikes it, actually tucks it, and we've seen them fight for those landings a little bit harder. Strada needs to stick those if they're going to hope to keep it close. Cal is at their best events.
California's Koziak, a 9.725. So powerful California. You have to love the flair that the California athletes have on just about every event.
Yeah, very stylish, and they really try to take gymnastics to a new level in terms of artistry. They don't just try to fulfill the requirements.
Let's go back to the high bar. Once again, the first 2 performers for Illinois had low scores. Romagnoli posting a big 9.825.
You know, we mentioned that when we showed that scoring graphic, that the base score, if to fulfill the minimum requirements, is a 9.4. There is some interest from some of the coaches and judges to lower that to a 9.0 starting value, which would still keep the parity in the competition, but it would also reward gymnasts who go to great lengths to do really challenging routines, not just the simple, what I call code-of-the-point routines, code-of-point routines.
John Corbett, his high, career high, 9.8. He set that last year.
Oh, man, and did he fly that release move? Here's one of those guys that does a routine that has more than enough difficulty. He could benefit from a little change in the rules because he has more ability, and yet he's doing a routine that's easy for him only because he can get by with it in terms of the rules.
Well, John Corbett is pumped up.
Now, this guy is a great all-around athlete. He lettered in high school in soccer, as well as indoor and outdoor track. And, of course, he's an outstanding gymnast. That huge release move really set up a big score. The dismount, he kind of slings it out forward a little bit. It's a tucked double somersault with a full twist. But a nice job, intensity in the landing.
9.75 for Todd Strada on the parallel bars. So Strada, the anchor, continues to hit for Iowa, but Iowa falling behind because the support not there from the teammates.
It is the mind.
Well, California has now moved to the parallel bars. Four of their athletes have gone. They had a slip early on, 8.65. They had a 9.25. And once again, it's up to Oleg Kosiak.
Surprise. That's the first key mistake Cal has made. You know, it's interesting. They're 1.35 in the lead. Maybe not that focused because getting a little comfortable there. Now, Kosiak had scored a 9.675 yesterday. He's going to get nowhere near that today.
So perhaps a slight opening for Iowa.
This is the double back somersault within the rails. He swings up to handstand here. The dismount is a piked double back somersault, and that was good, but he had a break in rhythm and an extra swing in the earlier part of the routine that will cost him.
So we await Kosiak's score. While we do, let's go over to the high bar. Iowa's been performing very consistently so far on high bar.
This is a great event for them.
And we want to pick up a performance a little bit earlier by Lou DiTilio. You see him a 9.55. This is part of it.
Watch these release moves. These are double somersaults over the bar. He does two of them. And look at, he almost goes completely out of the frame. He is so high. Now, an interesting team strategy here. He was the first guy to go, and he's one of their best. Yesterday, he only scored a 9.4. And today, he delivered this outstanding performance with complicated release moves, nice technique, and most importantly, I think he really inspired his teammates because he was the first one up, and he rocked this complete exercise and sets the pace for this event. Now, Cal's struggling a little over there.
And Kosiak did get a low score, 9.2. You're right, Bart. So California now with 3 low scores and still 1 performer to go. So perhaps Iowa with a slight opening as Todd Strada comes on.
This is one of those events that Coach Tom Dunn said Todd has worked hard to improve on. He scored a 9.625 in yesterday's preliminaries. Nicely done on the release move. Okay, a little shaky there, but he kept it moving nicely.
Got it.
Nice finish. Now, that was a well-designed routine because in terms of complete program. That's not a great high bar routine, but it's smartly designed because it fulfills all the requirements. He has enough bonus in there. It can get a good score. Here is this full pirouette out of that toe on, and you can see his hand barely caught, but I think that's exactly how he expected it to happen. But this is not a great event for him, but he gutted through this routine. Most guys are doing more complicated dismounts where they add a twist. Notice he keeps his body straight and just does 2 laid-out somersaults. But what's so important is rocking those landings.
So Iowa perhaps making a little headway on the high bar. How much headway are they making? Stay with us. We'll return to Penn State after this. 9-3-5, but overall, pretty good scores on the vault for Illinois.
Very well done for Illinois. And it was in the preliminaries on the vault where they really started to get a rally going. They're pretty much out of the team battle here, but they could inspire their fans here if they could get one more solid score here and get a little closer to the leaders. That'll do it.
He is the Illinois school record holder in the vault. How about that? The Illinois school record holder and the Canadian national champion in the vault.
How about that? Take a look at this vault. It ends up being a 1.5 twist. Pretty nice position. A little sloppy in the body straightness as he finishes it, but he'll still get a high score. Only 1 step on the landing.
Todd Strada, 9.6 on the high bar.
He'll be happy with that.
So Detilio got him started on the high bar. Strada with the anchor. All performers doing well for Iowa. As we're back onto the parallel bars. Now look once again at the scores. Nissen with an 8.65. Koziak with a 9.2. They also have Chansky in there with a 9.25. So they've got to count Chansky at the moment, depending on what happens with Yevgeny Zherevchevsky.
He has a really cool move on the side bar. You'll see it here. It's a plant where he keeps his body straight. We talk about the changes in the rules. Gymnasts are doing more elements where they go over like that onto the side. Now watch what he does here. A press to a planche. Wow. And then straight body to handstand. Takes immense strength. Sweet. Right to the handstand. Just a little short. Going to get a great score, though. Just 1 step on the landing is always the judges will be able to deduct for. Here's what you're seeing more of. The gymnasts are doing these combinations where they go out onto the single rail and do what they call a side glide. But what makes this so good is that straight body position in the planche. After hanging up this gorgeous back toss to a perfectly straight handstand, kind of dumped over the pike double back somersault and had to take a step.
Travis Romagnoli, 9.75, as we await the score for Zherevchevsky. So Romagnoli hits his vault. And Iowa look at the 2 low scores, still fairly good.
Yeah, this has been a solid event, and this is a critical performance for Iowa.
And they're going to rely on Travis Rosen, 5'11" senior from Eugene, Oregon. He missed 7 meets during the year because of an injury, so he's just back in action.
Had a broken foot, and he scored only an 8.85, had a disastrous routine yesterday. He needs to be on here. Look at this combination. Oh, yeah, you rack up the bonus points when you do those Stalder-type moves in what they call the eagle grip. Oh, nice. He's going to get a good score today. Surely a lot better than the 8.85 from yesterday.
A lot better.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to ask you to please remain after the completion of tonight's competition.
This is the same dismount we saw from Todd Strada. A really gorgeous laid-out double somersault. He had plenty of difficulty in the earlier moves in the routine. That'll get a good score.
Jedrzejewski gets a 9.65 for his vault. For his work on the parallel bars. So we'll be back in a minute. We'll update the scores for you. Iowa trying to hang with powerful California. Standings after 5 rotations. California's lead has shrunk just a bit, but still comfortable. Iowa followed by Illinois. Well, our next NCAA championship will be men's volleyball. You can see that on ESPN2. Semis and championship will be in Honolulu. Thursday night will be a live semifinal. Friday a delayed semifinal. And then the final live on Saturday. That's April 30th to May 2nd. Don't miss that. Well, right now we're talking gymnastics. Iowa has moved to the vault. The 2 lowest scores so far, you see them right there. As we get to Travis Rosen.
I talked to Tom Dunn before this event, and I said, what do you think about your team on vaulting? He goes, well, it can be a good event for us, but it's kind of like rolling the dice, because he said, my guys are all beat up, they're sore, it's the end of the season, and it's whether they stay on their feet or not.
Rosen, a 1996 All-American on vault, one of the co-captains for Iowa.
Remember, he missed a good part of the season with a broken foot. You can see the tape on his ankle. That was back in February only, not that long ago, and here he is vaulting. Not bad. Scored a 9.2 yesterday. He's going to get a better score than that today.
His season best is a 9.65.
He ends up doing 1.5 twists in the Sukahara, trying to keep his body as straight as possible. And boy, you could just see the pressure on that landing. That just kills your ankles and your feet. Good for him.
We'll give you his score in a moment. We move to the parallel bars. Illinois. Zach and Huang, the 2 low scores. Cook and Hedinger getting solid scores. And that brings us to Yuval Ayalon.
Ayalon adds to that international contingent with the Illinois team, and that they have Canadian Romagnoli and, of course, Ayalon from Israel. He's a senior. Scored a 9.35 in yesterday's preliminaries, so you expect him to score in that mid-9 range. Oh, nice combination out to the single rail. He has a very fluid swing in his exercise. That's impressive. Topped off the handstand there on that back toss. Okay, not bad.
You know, Illinois got a very tough start in this competition. They've hung in there. If you throw out that first rotation, they'd be right in the hunt.
Yeah, and I think Yoshi Hayasaki, their head coach, knew that coming in, that they were going to be off to a rough start. It was going to be whether they could climb back into the rankings. Well, they've done a good job since then. This dismount here got a little bit dicey. He was pretty low, but he piked it around, had to straddle his legs just to get the rotation complete.
Let's give you the Travis Rosen score on vault, 9.625. 9.625, oh yeah. All right, back to the high bar and California. Of course, California, one of the strongest teams, if not the best team in the country at high bar. Sincharin recorded a 9.6, but he did it with flair, Bart.
Oh, boy, I got to tell you, this was exciting to watch. And, you know, like Detilio for Iowa, who led off their team with that dazzling and inspiring performance to his teammates, watch this routine here. He's so aggressive, and every move, he just takes it to the extreme. Look at this, one-arm sequence, right to the stalder. And again. You could hear his teammates cheering him on, and boy, they rocked that landing, and that really started off a terrific event. But here's what happened later. Chansky, who is normally a terrific gymnast on the high bar, their team co-captain, overdid that release move. They're so pumped up over there, and they're kind of playing at high bar.
That's right. It's almost like, can you top this? And You could see Jansky. He was going and going.
But he got up and finished his routine and did well in the last part of the exercise.
All right, so we'll pick up Josh Birkelball now. Birkelball has been solid all night long.
9.45 in the preliminaries. Oh, he's in trouble.
Oh. So now he has 30 seconds to recover.
Exactly, and you see his coach there, Barry Weiner. He's going to give him a couple of instructions on what to do. Here is what a lot of gymnasts are doing, these pirouetting moves to get bonus points. He was going to do a full pirouette, and man, when you hit that hip bone on that steel bar, man, I can tell you that's steel.
You realize that the hip bone is connected to the leg bone, don't you?
He'll know it tomorrow if he doesn't know now.
What's the deduction for that?
Well, it's huge because you lose the bonus point that you could have potentially gotten. You lose a half a point for falling off, and then you continue your exercise from there. So that will hurt them, but luckily they've had some really strong, solid mid-9 scores from everybody else.
Keep in mind, this is the final rotation, and
Cal does have a little room to play with.
they sure do.
More than a little room.
Is there sometimes a loss of concentration when you get a big lead?
Well, you know, I plan to ask Barry that at the end of the competition because, you know, they've been ahead the whole competition, never really challenged by Iowa. And it's hard to keep the focus, I think, when they're in such a strong lead. Great finish.
All right, so California moving towards its second straight NCAA championship. Stay with us. We'll continue right after this.
Read it and weep, girls.
Oh.
I'm out of here.
What? You can't leave now.
I gotta win some of my money back.
Besides, you haven't tried any of my chili.
Have gone. You see the two low scores. Here is Anthony Petrocelli, 5'8" sophomore from Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
This is one of those team players. He's a sophomore, and yet he's really a 4-event guy. He does do the all-around, but he contributes greatly on 4 events to this particular team. Missed part of the season because of injuries, and boy, that was a nice ball. Scores from a maximum of 10.0 in terms of the rules. You're seeing a lot of the top-notch gymnasts do this particular vault. It's called a Sukahara. He does it with a 1.5 twist. And because he does it with 1.5 twist, it comes out of a 10.0 start value. It wasn't that high. Technique was pretty good, and it was good, clean form.
We've just received Josh Birkelball's score, very low, 8.90 for that man. So Cal has had a few misses on high bar, but the Golden Bears continue to lead and cruise.
Come on, Jack.
And we'll go back to the parallel bars. And one more time for Travis Romagnoli. What can't this man do?
We expect that he will continue to compete for the Canadian team. He's already been at 4 World Championships. We saw him last fall in Switzerland, in Lausanne at the World Championships there. Just a sophomore. Second highest score yesterday, a 9.75 in this event. Watch this. 1 3/4 front somersault, and he smoothly transitions out of it. Boy, you just have to like his technique. Nice finish. This is a really impressive young man. No weaknesses. Every event, he has clean technique. Watch this move here. 1 3/4 front somersault. Good power, good smooth rhythm. I like that. You know, he's doing a very complicated move, but it's smooth.
You can see now why coaches recruit the international stars, because if you get 1 or 2 international stars on your team, you can be an immediate contender.
And that certainly has been the flavor here at these NCAA championships, and last year as well.
Anthony Petrocelli's score, 9.625, so a very good score for Anthony on vault. Back to the high bar. Let's see what Cal can dig up here. Two low scores, Berkelbaugh and Chansky, and the last competitor of the evening, Yevgeny Zhedebchevsky.
As we said, he is a senior, even though this is only his second year of eligibility in California. Some of his credits transferred over from his schooling in the Ukraine, so this will be his last performance for his team in this team final. Yesterday, he fell off the high bar. Had a disappointing performance here because he fell on a release move. He's got to nail it here. This is it. Oh, yeah, right on. That's what he fell on yesterday. What a way to punctuate it. Outstanding team performance. Barry Wiener's California Bears.
What a way to end Cal's night.
Watch this now. Right here is where his hands just slipped off yesterday, but today he placed it perfectly. The dismount, well, this is about as good as you can get. Technique is impeccable. The body line so straight. 2 twists instead of what most gymnasts are doing, just 1. And you know his teammates realize that we're the champs.
Quite an accomplishment for Barry Wiener, his assistants David Cruz and Trent Wells.
Hey, how'd they get that T-shirt printed so fast?
I think they had confidence coming in. So the California Golden Bears repeat as national champions. We'll come back and we'll wrap it up for you right after this. Golden Bears going undefeated for the 2nd straight year and racking up their 4th NCAA title. A look of euphoria for the Cal Golden Bears and head coach Barry Wiener. Speaking of the coach, he's standing by with Bart Connor.
Thank you, Chris. First of all, congratulations to the California Bears. It was a great competition. And, Coach, we were in this situation last year, and it was sweet. This year was quite a bit different, wasn't it? How does it feel?
Well, thanks, Bart, first of all. And, yeah, this year was very tough because the expectations on the team were so high. And I'm really proud of my guys because, you know, everybody was thinking that we couldn't lose and we had to win, and they really came through and did a great job.
Now, how did you keep them motivated? Because, let's face it, if you hit your routines, no one was going to catch you. How do you keep your team inspired in that situation?
Well, basically, they wanted to win. I mean, they wanted to go back-to-back, and they wanted to repeat. And they did the routines in practice, and they did the work, and they came here just ready to do the job.
Now, as you know, there's coaches all over the United States that are envious of you putting together this international team. Talk a little bit about that and how important some of these guys have been to your program, especially some of your seniors that are going away.
Well, I can't say enough about Jekka here. This guy right here, every time we made a mistake or we faltered a little bit, he stepped up and did a great routine, and he is just a big part of our program. And, of course, Oleg and Tal and Alexander. I mean, they're just wonderful kids, and they come to Berkeley because they want to get the best education, and some of them aren't even on scholarship, but, you know, they want the best, you know, in gymnastics and in academic excellence, and we're just so happy to have them here.
Well, congratulations to California, Barry Wiener. Repeat champions. It must feel great. Congratulations.
Thanks,
okay, back to you, Chris.
All right, Bart Connor, repeat champions for the first time since 1992 and 93 when Stanford did it. So our congratulations to California, now joined by Bart Connor coming